Hey everybody. Tonight we are going to do a long overdue water change here on my Gourami tank. It's not so much long overdue in the sense that the water needs to be changed. I didn't do that too terribly long ago, but I have been putting off working on the filter, and I've been putting off getting in there and doing some real plant maintenance. You can notice there off to the right I have got quite a bit of red tiger lotus is getting sort of out of control. There are plenty of leaves down here that are lower and still coming in. So if I remove some of these leaves up here, it will accomplish my goal of opening the tank up, letting more light in, and allowing these leaves down here to get more light, and then the plant will be able to grow more compact and vigorous. I may do a little something with the Java. That's getting kind of out of control too, but I like a tank nice and bushy and green, so I'm probably going to leave the Java alone. And I'm definitely going to be leaving this water sprite alone. I may get in there and pull a few of the babies out. You can see all these smaller clusters of roots hanging down. That's where the babies are developing. The gouramis really do enjoy chewing on the roots and eating the roots, so I may just leave them in there for now. We'll have to wait and see once I get in there. And then of course I do have some stray stuff like this tiger lotus leaf that has come loose and drifted over here. That will need to be removed, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I suppose before we do, let's have a look underneath the hood, if I can lift this up without too much issue. So you can see I've definitely got a lot of growth all the way up here to the surface. So definitely got to get in there and get these runners out. These are the two that I'm most concerned with. Once the plant starts getting atmospheric oxygen and atmospheric gas exchange, the growth rate can really take off. And once the plant, for lack of a better word, I'll say knows where the surface is, it starts sending all of its new shoots straight for the surface, and you lose that compact bushiness that I like. If you like the leaves on the surface, go for it. You know, it looks beautiful like that, but to me, I don't really get to see the leaves floating on the surface because I have a covered tank. You know, if it was open top, that might be a little bit different story, but the way this tank is set up, it doesn't make sense for me to have the leaves exposed and floating on the surface like that. All that does is block light to the rest of the tank. So I'm going to get on with it. We'll have a look at the filter once I get that pulled apart and see what's going on in there. I'm pretty sure I'm having some more issues with this one as far as the UV light deteriorating the trays. So let's see what we can do about swapping them around. Once we get in there, we'll have a look at that. Alright everybody, we got the tank draining now, and I've got the filter pulled apart. But while the water is still almost up to full, I just started draining it a moment ago. That'll give you a better look in the tank. I know the light's not really where it should be, but this also gives you a good look at my water sprite. You notice the real almost pine looking foliage on it. That's what I'm always talking about when I say how it looks like there's a nutrient deficiency. And again, I believe there is. I simply think there's a nutrient deficiency because the way the roots get munched on so much. So I'm probably not going to do much on that. I will get in there in a moment and do some more work on the water sprite, although I'm not going to be able to film it with one hand while I get in and cut with the other. But in the meantime, we can have a look at my filter here. So I've got it pulled open. I usually use a square bucket so I can just set the filter top right in there, and of course it has the glass tube sticking down, and that allows you to put it somewhere and protect the glass tube without it breaking or getting knocked into anything. So let's have a look in here. That's pretty nasty, but not too bad. I still have some of this little ring on the top there. That's what I'm looking for. Don't remember whether or not this is one of the filters that I swap them around in. If you follow my videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to explain. This plastic column here forces the water down into the bottom of the filter, and then it rises back up through all of your filtration and medium. And the bio light, the UV light that I leave on all the time, has completely deteriorated the plastic in a few of these filters, and this doesn't seem to be one of them. The top piece that came out did have a little bit of deterioration in it, but not a lot. And some of my other ones, I mean, it's just gone completely. There's no plastic sleeve there at all. And on those particular filters, I swapped them around, and I put the trays with the missing rings down at the bottom, and then I put the older ones up towards the top. And see, here's a good example. This tray right here, you see how it's missing some of that? So I must have swapped these around a little bit. But all of these look fairly intact, so I'm not going to worry too much about these. That filter is really dirty. My bottom tray is always the one that I use for the actual filtration, the physical filtration, or the mechanical filtration. And then the top remaining trays I use for biofiltration. So that's it. All I got to go do is dump that water out, swap out all of my filtration pieces. Again, I'm not going to go through all the effort of showing you how I do all that. I've got plenty of other videos that show you how I repack my filter material. So we're going to get doing that. I'll get it put back together, and then I'll start working on those plants and getting the glass wiped down and everything else. So sit tight, and we'll get back to the end of this video in a few minutes. Alright everybody, before we have a look at the final result, I just wanted to give you a look at some of these tiger lotus leaves that I removed. I do have my flash on, that's why everything is so bright and shiny, but you don't really get a good look at them in the tank, and I just wanted people to see what the leaves actually look like. They're a stunning plant, they really are. So you can see I removed quite a bit, but what I really wanted to show you was this pile of what appears to be black goo. It's not. That is blue-green slime cyanobacteria, and it's growing in a mat, almost like felt. It's really thick, and it's really sort of difficult to pull apart. And where that was in this tank is in the upper right-hand corner. I have some Java Fern that's growing right at the surface, and on top of all the Java Fern was a big, thick mat of that cyanobacteria. So you can have that stuff in a tank and not even really notice it, depending on where it is and what kind of animals you have in the tank. So my off-walks grazers really keep this tank clean, because obviously there is blue-green slime cyanobacteria in the tank, and yet the tank does not look like it's infested with it. So physically removing that, along with some of the Java Fern that I pulled out, will help. So let's let the bubbles settle out of the tank, and here in a little while we'll do our final before and after look at it. Alright everybody, it's still a little bubbly, but it's good enough for now. We're going to go ahead and have our final look at it tonight rather than wait till tomorrow morning. You can see I did a pretty good job of whacking back the red tiger lotus. There is still plenty of foliage on there, and you can even see some of the smaller leaves down there are as of yet unfurled. So once they open up, they will give me more foliage, and that plant will grow back in no time. This Java Fern up here in the corner is what I was talking about that had the cyanobacteria growing on it, and you can see I really cut that back quite a bit. That was all growing completely up in the corner, pressed up against the glass, and growing up out of the water, where it was actually turning brown from being too close to the light. So I cut all the brown tips off, and I cut all the stuff out of the corner to allow the water to flow through there more freely. And of course we removed that big chunk of cyanobacteria that was sitting on top of that mat. Other than that, I didn't really do a whole lot of anything. You know, we did the filter because we already saw that. And I got in the tank and wiped the glass down a little bit, but this tank doesn't really get a whole lot of stuff growing on the glass because of the fish I have in here, and because the tank, even though it's got a lot of lighting on it, the amount of plants I have in this tank really block a lot of the light, so the glass doesn't get much light on it. Front and center, kind of where you can see that opaline gourami right there, in this general area is about the only place I get any real algal growth on the glass. Once you get down to these lower portions of the tank, there's just not enough light really to get down here. I did pull some of the babies out of this mother water sprite, just to allow more water to flow through the tank, a little easier circulation, and to allow more light to get down through the tank. But I left enough of it intact that we still get those beautiful roots hanging down, and of course the gouramis will still get to eat the roots, speaking of the devil. So there you go, that was your before and after. That was a water change and some basic maintenance here on my Gourami tank. So thanks for watching, make sure you're subscribed. See you real soon in the next one.